Sunlight shimmered like secret gold across the undulating backwaters as the houseboat, its thatched roof arching protectively above, slipped into the embrace of morning. Cara König, one hand resting on a bright yellow cushion, gazed warily at the swirling reflections, her eyes as sharp as the brass railings at her side. "Nolan," she murmured to the reserved figure hunched by the porthole. "Do you feel it? Even the water is whispering today." Nolan Lilly, ever the observer, nodded, his voice soft but urgent. "There's movement on the other boat just before the bend. They're watching us. 2, maybe 3. I caught a glimpse of a rosepin." Cara's lips curved into a cautious smile, the way one greets a long-expected threat. "Let them watch. The game's afloat, and I've hidden our secrets where even the river can't find them." As the boat glided past a cluster of palm-shadowed coves, a distant chime, half bell, half signal, echoed across the water, and for an instant every heart on board thudded with both dread and longing, as if sensing that this gentle morning would soon dissolve into a storm of passion and peril. From the prow of the pink boat, an accidental stage for forbidden liaisons, Cara König leaned forward, her gaze tracing the slow arc of the blue canoe drifting dangerously close beneath the shroud of overcast skies. The lone paddler, face obscured by a battered scarf, offered a smoldering glance that lingered too long. An unspoken dare or a warning, Cara couldn't tell. The hush was broken by Dr. Henry Carter, who emerged from behind the wicker chair, coffee in hand and eyebrows arched in mock alarm. "Cara, that canoeist! It's the same one from the temple festival, isn't it?" he whispered, voice thick with suspicion and just a hint of longing. "He's following us. I'd stake my last grain of Kerala rice on it." Cara's lips curved in a secretive smile, the kind that only surfaces when hope and danger entwine. "Perhaps he's after more than a boat fare, Henry. In Alappuzha, every calm water hides a deadly secret." As the houseboat passed a cluster of crimson-roofed homes, a coded message floated from a passing fisherman. "The trees know." And both companions stiffened, the air suddenly heavy with pulse-racing possibility. Somewhere behind them, the blue canoe dipped out of sight. Ahead, the houseboat's shadow beckoned them toward a rendezvous fated to end in either rapture or ruin. The houseboat slid through the backwaters with the grace of a fugitive at midnight, its yellow cushions shining defiantly against the gloom that pressed in from the overcast sky. Dr. Henry Carter, ever the vigilant confidant, leaned into the hush, his gaze darting between the canopy of coconut palms and the mirrored water beneath. "Cara, there's something wrong with the air," he whispered, voice trembling just enough to betray the storm beneath his composure. "Do you hear it? The sound, like a confession half swallowed by the river." Cara König, her silhouette framed by the flickering green light sifting through palm leaves, offered a smoldering glance that lingered longer than prudence allowed. "The river holds our secrets, Henry, but it always gives them back, usually at the worst possible moment." Suddenly, a harsh electronic crackle sliced through their reverie, the boat's speakers sputtering with static. Dr. Henry's brow furrowed in alarm. "Sabotage!" he muttered, only for the interference to melt as swiftly as it had come. "It's good now," he breathed, relief and suspicion warring in his eyes as he reached for a banana leaf, tracing its veins as if reading a map of hidden betrayals. "Banana leaf, let's go," he murmured, half mocking, half hopeful, and Cara's laughter, low and dangerous, echoed across the water, mingling with the distant whisper of a canoe's oar. The tranquil surface belied the gathering storm. Every breath was a countdown, every glance a coded warning as the boat drifted deeper into the labyrinth where love and danger collided in the hush of the Kerala noon. Inside the gently rocking cradle of the houseboat, Geneva Baptine pressed her fingers to the sun-warmed yellow cushion and gazed out, her eyes lingering on the mirror-bright water where palm trees stood sentinel, their secrets reflected in the ripples. Mason King, perched at her side in a red chair, leaned close, voice low and pulsing with urgency beneath his trademark grin. "Geneva, what if the letter isn't hidden where we think?" he whispered, glancing warily at a distant boat where a flash of pink umbrella danced just out of focus. "I trust you, Mason," Geneva replied, her tone soft but steely. But trust is a brittle thing on water like this. As a breeze lifted the thatched roof's shadow across their faces, Dr. Henry Cara stepped in, his expression grave yet protective. "We can't linger," he interjected, eyes darting to a coded message scrawled on a stray napkin. "To Mumbai or to the truth, left by a mysterious hand." The chat crackled to life with a string of confessions and sly jests, their digital notes as dangerous as real ones. "Suit up for respect, but beware the Luffy hat," one warned, just as Owen Master appeared by the open window, grinning and brandishing a makeshift coconut chalice. "To dangerous liaisons and even more dangerous curries," he toasted, but his laughter faltered when an unseen canoeist brushed past the hull, or tapping out a warning that only the river, and perhaps their hidden enemy, understood. The peace of Kerala was a careful masquerade. Beneath the laid-back shimmer, every heart on board thudded with perilous longing, their fate bound to secrets that drifted as quietly as the mist above the still suspicious water. Beneath a sky bruised with secrets and the promise of rain, the quartet advanced across the railway crossing, a stage set for intrigue beneath Kerala's watchful palms. Dr. Henry Carter, umbrella poised like a duelist's blade, paused mid-stride to consult his phone, his brow furrowed in comic over-concentration. "Penelope, the angle, they're watching," he whispered, voice barely outpacing the hush of cicadas, as Penelope Peachman, effervescent even in peril, twirled a water bottle with a flourish that belied the tension clawing at her pulse. Geneva Baptine, level-headed and luminous, swept her gaze down the length of the glinting tracks, her voice low and urgent. "The barriers are lifted, but the danger isn't. Mason, keep your eyes on the tree line. Anything can happen in the lull after the storm." Mason King, steadfast as ever, mustered a grin, but his shoulders tensed as distant thunder echoed. Was it only the monsoon, or coded warning from their unseen pursuers? As the sun's last gold fell in buttery stripes across the stone slabs, a train horn moaned far away, a warning or an invitation. With every step, the air thickened with humid longing and suspicion, their path a narrow bridge between hope and betrayal, as if the very rails beneath their feet threatened to deliver them straight into the arms of fate, or into a trap set by jealous hearts lurking just beyond the verdant veil. Beneath the brooding canopy of the ancient tree, its roots coiling like the arms of jealous lovers into the sodden earth, Penelope Peachman stood sentinel, her rain-freckled hair glinting with borrowed courage as she scanned the vivid mural mirrored in the canal's glassy surface. "The heart is the code," she whispered, tracing the red heart sign with trembling fingers, while Geneva Baptine murmured beside her, "Or the lock. If we choose wrong, we lose everything." Behind them, Mason King, steadfast as ever, despite mud clinging to his shoes, studied the playground's animal-shaped sentinels with a soldier's suspicion. "No child's laughter, only secrets," he quipped, then softened, offering his hand to Penelope as thunder rolled distantly, a lover's warning. At the water's edge, Dr. Henry Carter knelt among tangled roots, withdrawing a scrap of folded parchment from the earth, its edges damp, its script a breathless confession. "Meet me where hope swings in the rain." As the canal's reflection fractured in the gathering dusk, Geneva caught sight of a shadow slipping behind the bicycle sculpture. A flash of magenta sleeve, a signal or a threat. She gripped Penelope's hand as Mason cupped his palm to Dr. Henry's shoulder, all four poised between play and peril, longing and betrayal, their hearts racing with the knowledge that the next step, toward the heart, the mural, or the masked rival, might tip their fates into either rapture or ruin. The sun dipped low over Alappuzha's labyrinthine canals, gilding the water in molten gold as Mason King, resplendent in his orange life jacket, an unexpected knight's armor, flashed a triumphant, rakish grin, paddle poised like a duelist's blade. "Penelope, do you see that?" he called, voice dancing across the ripples to where Penelope Peachman stood on the mossy bank, her laughter bubbling, equal parts delight and warning. Dr. Henry Carter, ever the vigilant anchor, peered through the lattice of painted fences, brow knit in suspicion as he scanned the vivid muraled walls behind Mason. "Stay sharp, Mason. Our foe may lurk behind any carnival color," he murmured, his gaze tracing the glint of sunlight on water for coded signals. Just then, Owen Master, perched with feline grace at the stern, leaned in with conspiratorial glee. "Smile wider, champ. Whoever's watching wants to see you drop your guard." Above them, the sky stretched cloudless and electric, the air thick with both promise and peril, for even as Mason's laughter rang out, a shadow flickered in the reflection. A paddle, or perhaps a rival's intent, reminding all that in these enchanted waters, joy and treachery could capsize a heart in a single breathless stroke. A hush settled over the twilight street as Penelope Peachman, cheerful facade drawn taut with anticipation, slipped through the battered door of the roadside shop, a sanctum of secrets masquerading as everyday commerce. The air inside was thick with the scent of cardamom and suspense. Jars of sugared candies glinted like forbidden jewels beneath the watchful gaze of the elderly shopkeeper, her white sari as crisp and unreadable as her expression. Penelope hesitated, heart thudding as Geneva Baptine joined her, voice low and reassuring. "Stay close. The message could be hidden in anything, even the sweets." Behind the counter, the matron's gnarled hand hovered over a glass jar, pausing just long enough for Dr. Henry Carter, suddenly beside them, every sense alert, to murmur, "That poster! It's a signal. Goldflake means danger, but the QR code is our only way in." With a barely perceptible nod, the shopkeeper slid a folded slip of paper across the counter, beneath a scattering of toffees, her eyes never leaving Penelope's trembling hands. "For hearts in peril," she intoned, voice a blend of warning and promise. The note inside, a single eloquent phrase, "Trust him who pays in sweet coins, not bitter smoke," sent a tremor through the trio. Outside, thunder rumbled, and the world beyond the shop's faded yellow walls seemed to close in, rich with longing and the electric threat of betrayal. The sunset drenched the Alappuzha shoreline in molten gold, each wave a whispered promise, each footprint in the wet sand a memory waiting to betray. Penelope Peachman, ankles sinking into the mirror-bright surf, swept her gaze toward the distant ruins of the pier, a monument to loves lost and secrets half submerged. "It's too quiet, Henry," she murmured, her fingers brushing a camouflage umbrella handle as if it were a talisman. Dr. Henry Carter, standing beside her in his rolled-up chinos and stoic resolve, studied the horizon where clouds gathered like conspirators. "Peace is only a prelude to danger, Penelope. The tide's coming in, bringing answers or more riddles." Mason King's laughter rang out, half defiant, as he traced a coded word into the damp sand with the tip of his shoe. "Trust." But even as the waves lapped hungrily at the shoreline, a hush fell over the trio, broken only by the distant call of a lone gull and the soft electronic chime of an incoming message, a digital heartbeat in the dusk. "You're a little quiet, due to the waves?" Mason teased, masking apprehension with bravado, but Penelope's answering smile was edged with longing and suspense. For in that golden hour, as the world held its breath, every grain of sand and every fading ray became a witness. To confessions unsaid, to names written and nearly washed away, and to 3 hearts poised, between the promises of twilight and the peril of truths about to surface. A sapphire twilight draped itself across the Alappuzha shore, where Penelope Peachman stood at the cusp of the receding tide, her laughter mingling with the hush of waves as stray dogs, silent sentinels of the night's secrets, circled at her feet. Owen Master, ever the fearless protector in the face of both peril and picnic, sidled up, a sly grin warming his features as he offered her a contraband samosa from the glowing snack stall. "Careful, Penelope," he teased, lowering his voice as the 2 men by the stall exchanged glances. "In Kerala, every bite carries a risk, the heart, or perhaps a mild case of indigestion." Penelope's eyes sparkled with mischief and something more vulnerable as she accepted the samosa, her fingers brushing his with a pulse-racing charge. "I'd risk everything for a taste of danger," she replied, but her gaze flicked uneasily to the empty tables beneath the looming tree, where a lone Coca-Cola card gleamed like a forbidden promise. Amelia Geist lingered in the shadows, her voice barely above the surf. The letter is safe, but the night is young. Trust no one who offers change without a smile. Nolan Lilly, clever and quiet, materialized beside her, slipping a folded napkin into Penelope's palm, a coded message hidden within. When the dogs look back, run. In the blue hush, the group pressed closer, conspiratorial and trembling, knowing that every gentle sound was heavy with unspoken longing, every casual glance a veiled confession, and every shadow, man or mutt, might yet reveal the villain who would steal both the last telegram and their fragile chance at love.